A lot of y'all about to be mad at me. A lot of y'all about to be mad at me. Whether you're conservative, whether you're a black liberal, a lot of y'all are about to be mad at me. I received a text message today from my son, and he was asking me about Trump overturning executive order. Let me read it directly from the text. Executive order written by Lyndon B. Johnson, um, 11/246. He's overturning executive order for DEI, and he's dialing back affirmative action and all that other stuff. Okay, my opinion is this. Whoo! I gotta be careful when I say this because this is coming from my own lived experience. It's coming from my own thoughts on how the federal government is run, and how I believe that Trump is the best to run the nation right now. But this is going to negatively impact a whole bunch of people, and it's going to positively impact a whole bunch of people, probably even the individuals that it negatively impact. Let me speak on it just for a second. Well, before we get too much into it, let me just play this right here so that a lot of you who aren't familiar with this can catch up. This won't be no real long live stream, but I just want y'all to know from the place I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where, I never really put much credence or belief in anybody or any system set up. It's not because I'm better than anybody. It's simply because when I decided to get my wife pregnant when we was just kids and make a baby, I couldn't depend on federal government bailing me out. So I started working my ass off. And I shaped myself since the age of like 19 when I had my daughter, because Naya changed my life. All right, 19 years old, them getting married at 20. I'm 46 now. I'm an OG in the game pretty much. But when I made the decision to have premarital sex, right? Not having a father or mother raising me, but having my cousin adopt me at the age of 5, having my Aunt Teresa and my cousin Diane take me into their homes when my mom and my dad could not do it for me. They couldn't watch over me or my brothers. They took me in and they raised me in the hood, Southeast DC. And it wasn't bad. I learned what I was supposed to learn. I had my fun. I was who I was. But when I decided to have a baby, I did not want to depend on anybody to do what I thought my father should have done for me, to do what I thought my mother should have done for me. So I started working my ass off. And I told my wife to stay in school because we both went to college together. We both graduated from high school and then went straight to Norfolk State University. And I dropped out in the first 6 months because I needed to get back and find a job. All right. But I made sure that she stayed in school. She had a desire to be a school teacher. She had a desire to work for the federal government. She had a desire to do great things. Just because I made a decision, we both made a decision to start a family early. We weren't going to depend on anybody else to raise our children that we started. All right. So just saying that. Did we benefit off of affirmative action, DEI, any programs that were put into place for young black parents, young black people? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We had WIC, the certificates that you can go to the store and you can get like Infamil, orange juice in a can. I forgot the name of it. Juicy juice in a can, cereals, those type of things. So we did benefit off of affirmative action and DEI programs, this, that, and the third. And we ended up going on to have more children. But before we decided to have more children, we only used those services for this bit of a time while we was living with her mom. And we were living with her mom for a few months. before we decided to get our own apartment and shape our own world for us, create our own world for us. All right. Not because we wanted to show anybody how we can do anything better. It was simply because we understood that we are now adults. We are in this. We can't depend on anybody else but you and I. You are my wife. I'm your husband. These are our children we're starting to have. We can't depend on the government to save us. We can't depend on any program to save us. So we bust our ass. She stayed in school. I started doing electrical work. I was an electrical apprentice for a while. We all went our way and we started hustling. We started grinding. As you see, I got on a t-shirt right now that says, if you can't read it, says, good things come to those who hustle. I got this from a young lady that used to work with me on this channel named Mama Kim. She bought me a t-shirt one time just to show love to me. And the t-shirt says, good things come to those who hustle, who work, not who take advantage of each other, not who take advantage of programs, because what we could have done was do what a lot of my family members did. A lot of people that I know did. They saw that the government would pay their bills if they had children. So they allowed them to do it for as long as they can possibly do it. Even their children graduated into it, and started doing the same thing, having children at really young ages and realizing that the more children I have, the more money I can get from the federal government. That wasn't the mindset of me and my wife. We still was for a product of the hood. Her from Robinson Place, Southeast, one of the worst neighborhoods in DC. Me from 3rd Street and Livingston Road, Southeast, one of the worst streets in DC. We both came up in this. We wasn't no suckers that was always in the house in the books either. We was outside. We was at the parties late at night. I was getting in trouble for stealing cars. I was out in fights all the time. Like, come on. We just decided once we had a family that we were more important to each other to try to build that nuclear family we didn't know anything about. We didn't know about the nuclear family, but we decided to start our own and watch over each other. So that's the only reason why that what you're about to hear from me, the stances I take on affirmative action, DEI programs and everything, is the reason. That's the reason, because I am shaped to believe a certain thing, all right? And I shaped myself to believe that. All right. I just want y'all to know that, man, because I've been working my ass off all my life. And to see people benefiting from programs simply because they're Black, or simply because they're Asian, or simply because they're Hispanic, or simply because they're women. I mean, come on now. There's a whole bunch. I want everybody who's best for the job to get the job. But I do realize, and don't get it twisted, when those Black programs are out there and people can get scholarships because they're Black, or they can get in schools because they're Black, or they can get they're getting hired before anybody else because they're Black. Yes, I used to be proud as hell of that and didn't give a damn. Like, come on, it's the federal government. They got money to burn. They might as well. They owe us because of slavery, because of this, because of that. They owe us. Trust me, that was my mindset for a very long time. A very long time. It didn't just now. It just now started to shift, probably like 8 or 9 years ago, after Obama's second term. That's when it started to shift. All right. So just putting y'all on game, man. That's where I'm going with this. So the reason why we're having this conversation is because my son hit me up, asked me what I thought about this. And this is what I found online. We're going to play this first, and then we're going to have a little conversation. And I have a guest coming on. We got Red Cup with Mika, who's about to pull up. She's going to be a part of this stream. Shout out to her. You know what I mean? I'm starting to collab with other people just to do, I don't know, just to extend my reach and see how other people feel about it. Also later on, be linking up with Chat With Me, Linda B, on her channel for a platform, a talk as well. All right, so check this out. This is where this is coming from. Hit the like button too. If you're in here, the only price of admission for our live streams is to hit the like button. All right, thank you.
The federal government through executive actions. In addition to new orders on immigration and climate change, CBS News has obtained a memo that shows that Donald Trump is also ending diversity programs at all federal agencies.
It went out last night to the heads of every federal department and agency, giving them until 5 p.m. today to notify all federal employees who work on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that they are being placed on paid leave effective immediately, and that all those programs across the federal government will soon be shut down. The 4-page memo obtained by CBS News instructs federal agency heads to cancel any DEI-related trainings and close all DEI offices. The memo went out just one day after President Trump signed an executive order giving agencies 60 days to terminate all DEI positions.
Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
Another new directive, this one released by the Department of Homeland Security, reversed a Biden-era policy prohibiting deportation agents from making arrests at sensitive locations, like schools or churches.
We're getting them out of the country, and they're going to be gotten out of the country fast.
Tom Homan, who Trump calls his border czar, said Tuesday that targeted enforcement operations are now underway, though he declined to say where. As the Trump orders mount, so do the legal challenges. On Tuesday, 22 Democrat-led states filed suit over Trump's move to end birthright citizenship for children whose parents are here unlawfully.
This executive order is an assault on the rule of law. It attacks a right that is core to our nation's earliest days.
At a prayer service on Tuesday, the bishop of the Washington National Cathedral made this pointed appeal to Trump face to face.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
The sermon, he said, didn't move him.
I didn't think it was a good service. No, they could do much better.
On Truth Social overnight, Trump went after the bishop, accusing her of using a, quote, nasty tone, and he said that the public was owed an apology.
All right. I know I played a little bit more than I said I was going to play. They're talking about deportation, and they're talking about
Ariana
birthright
Grande is your
citizenship.
baby sister.
They're talking about many other things. But we're here to talk about DEI, affirmative action, all the people that's about to be losing their jobs because from being in DEI programs and whatnot. First of all, I'm going to say this. It's a bold move on Trump's part, but in the eyes of tens of thousands of people who will be, probably even 100,000 of people who will be directly impacted, it's an asshole move for Trump to do. For Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, Department of Government Efficiency, where they're trying to trim the fat. A lot of people have been getting opportunities in the federal government for a long time, making six figures and investing in their homes, investing in their children. The children go to certain schools because they have these careers. They've been purchasing homes because they have these careers. They've been taking extra chances, driving certain vehicles that they wouldn't drive if they didn't have these careers. So, not saying that it should be a woe is me type of situation, because if they should be blaming anybody, they should be blaming the administrations before Trump, who put them in this trick bag to make them believe that these opportunities will stay in place. And some of y'all wouldn't call it an opportunity. Some of y'all would think that it's cheating. You call it normalcy. We're back to normalcy now. Yeah, we are. I mean, normalcy it depends on your perspective, your point of view, your life story, your lived experience. But the fact remains that there's a whole poop ton of people who will be negatively impacted immediately because these DEI and affirmative action programs are leaving. People who look like me. You understand me? All right. Now they decided to put their bets and hedge their bets on these programs, believing that they will continue to be in place and that, they're probably applying for them, have so many different jobs because of it. and they're about to lose out and probably lose their homes and lose a lot of their sugar honey iced tea. All right. Not telling y'all to feel bad for them. I don't care if you feel bad for them. This show is not about that. But I think that it will negatively impact a whole bunch of people. So get ready for more lawsuits. Donald Trump's administration, President Trump's administration, there will be a lot of lawsuits because people will be losing contracts, federal government contracts that they've gotten simply because they had a business that was considered a black business, a minority-owned business. And then if you're a woman, you get a double minority-owned business. You get moved to the front of the line so that you can gain a government contract before anybody else. And then you have the triple minority. If you're handicapped and you're black and you're a woman, then you get the triple minority contracts. A lot of those people are going to lose their contracts because DEI and affirmative action and all these programs are being stripped away from the federal government. So don't deny yourself that a lot of families will be hurt from this. That's why I'll start. But I think most families will be helped from this. I think a lot of these people will realize that they can't ride the coattails of the government anymore, and they will start working their asses off to make sure that them and their families are squared away, with or without the federal government, with or without these special programs. And they're going to show them that I can survive by myself. A lot of times what happens is, and I know y'all don't want to hear this, but a lot of times what happens is, hold on one second. My brother, when you are the steward of God standing in his house and addressing his people, politics has no place at all in there. It's God's house, not a congressional meeting place. Much love to you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'll take that. I'll take that into account. Do you think there are any bad policies? Yeah, I do actually, but we'll get into that again. And bad is subjective. Bad is subjective. So that's the thing that we need to consider. Like I just now said, there's some bad that's coming from him overturning this executive order by Biden. But the good is what I'm about to speak on, right? So whether or not I agree with his policies or not, I agree with him as a man in most of his policies, way more than I ever agree with Biden and Kamala's policies. The fact that they just wanted to just play with people simply because they were black and what they were using minorities so that they can stay in power and take advantage of the country as a whole. So we will get into all of that. But I'm not one of those people who feel like everything Trump does is good. Nah, I don't. I don't. Like, there are people out there who think that everything Trump does is good. But being this brash and and just cutting things off that impacts anybody positively, that is in and of itself bad. If a lot of people are getting good from it and you remove it, that's bad. But a lot of people are missing out on opportunities, and it's making this country stale by making us depend on these things. That's the part that's good, the fact that we're getting rid of it. All right. And how will we know if we don't need it as a crutch unless we remove it? How will we know that we can depend on ourselves unless we remove these crutches? In my opinion, there's some good to it and there's some bad to it. And I'm trying to touch on both. So again, I'm not a politician. I don't know a whole lot about government. I'm a novice in this thing. I'm kind of new to it all. But unlike a lot of people out there, I'm not meat riding politicians. I'm not a super fan of any politician. I'm not a stan of any politician. Have you ever seen me with a MAGA hat on? This is not a shot at anybody who rock a MAGA hat or rep a MAGA hat. I'm just letting you know that I'm not a stan. The only person I'm a fan of is God. And that's not even a person, but I'm a fan of God. That's it. That's it. In my family, I'm the biggest fan of everybody that come from me. My wife and my children, whatever they're doing, I don't care what they're doing. I'm front row and center, the loudest one, period. And I'm making sure that, here's the thing, if I've been able to raise up a family, me and my wife, we've been able to raise up a family together. Hold on one second. We've been able to raise up a family together and instill excellence into our children. Excellence into our children. Not so that they can compete with white people. We don't give a damn about competing with white people. I don't want to be like no white person at all. And I'm damn sure not going to be meat riding no Kamala Harris and Biden when they ain't do a damn thing for me. They blatantly went out of their way to make policy that destroys this nation thread by thread. So acknowledge that. If you are a Democrat or an independent or a liberal or anything like that, I want you just to acknowledge the fact that a lot of the stuff that happened in the last 4 years made us look horrible. So yeah, Trump is getting in the House and this dude is removing everything that he believes threatens our nation. Of course I'm with that. I want to make sure my wife and my children have a safe country to live in. That's why I am. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Crap. 2. Officially. All right, hold on one second. Let me send this out right quick. I got to forward this email right quick, gang. Hold on one second. We about to really get into it, man. For real. We about to really get into it. It is. Okay. Okay, sent. All right. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm not here today going to try to defend my position on this. I don't want to argue with y'all. This is not that. This is not that at all. I'm just letting people know how I feel about this whole thing. All right? That's it. So the good is I believe that people should get out there and start businesses for themselves. I think people should start, first of all, giving God praise, glory, and honor for all of the good in their life so they can realize what they have to offer to this world. I think God put us all here with something special to offer to this world. Unfortunately, we lean heavily on the systems that are in place, and then we complain about the systems that are in place. The systems that help these Black folk are the same systems that we complain about. It's systemic racism. They systemically won't give us jobs. They systemically won't let us go to their organizations, their schools. Okay, then let's remove that and see how we rock then. I mean, if we really bout that, how the hell most of us, and I'm talking about my Black folk, because that's who I can report on. I can't report on what the white people think, regardless of what most of y'all may think, because most of my fan base are white. Well, I pay close attention to what the Black culture is saying too, all right? But I do want to say this. How the hell can we sit back and complain and act like we are completely against the federal government, but most of us work for the federal government that we complain about? And then when they start making it more difficult for us to work for them, we want to file suits. We want to cry. We want to bitch and moan. I got an issue with that. I believe that God has blessed us with something, each and every one of us with something that will enable us to provide value to this nation and support our families at the same time, take care of our families at the same time. All right? Even when you look at biblical days, this is the exact same thing that was happening. We were all given a certain amount of talents. Those of us that bury our talents and continue want to take from other people and beg from other people, we are not blessed. But those of us who take our talents and multiply our talents by using our talents on a daily basis, we are the ones that are blessed. That's just where I am right now. This is the article that I got from X that I want to share with you guys. So Hold on one second. Here it is right here. It says, hold on one second. Hey, thank you for the super chat, man. You researched who that bishop is. Also have family in the Fed Gov, and I know the hustle. 3 times OT and dipping out to go shopping on the Ave all day, then come in to punch out, time to trim the waist. Absolutely, 1000%. Now, somebody will be negatively impacted. They won't be able to use that system anymore. They won't be able to, take care of their family from home anymore because now they got to go in and work. But this is called real life. You know what I mean? Okay. So at the end of the day, man, it's this is wild, bro. This is wild. And thank you so much for the super chat, Holly. I appreciate you. All right. So a lot of you that don't know the federal government game, that's just what it is. What's up, Mika? How you doing, young lady?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am good. You came just in time because I want to know your thoughts on this affirmative action and DEI situation that's going on. Trump is shaking up things and he's pissing off a lot of people. And you and I live in the DMV, so we already know that a lot of people who look like us actually work for the federal government, and they are negative. They're going to be impacted by this.
Yes.
So, all right. So here we go. All right. Breaking. Trump ends affirmative action and for federal contractors. President Trump has officially revoked Executive Order 11246, the decades-old mandate signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 that enforced affirmative action for federal contractors. This monumental decision dismantles a cornerstone of government-enforced diversity hiring practices, replacing them with a bold return to merit-based opportunities for all Americans. For years, federal contractors were required to meet rigid diversity quotas, often prioritizing identity over talent. But no more. This marks the dawn of a new era where qualifications, hard work, and individual achievement take center stage. Trump's decision sends a powerful message. Americans are no longer defined by their race, gender, or identity, but their skills, ambition, and determination. This isn't about exclusion. It's about leveling the playing field and ensuring everyone has a fair shot, free from government-imposed bias. All right. So lastly, it says supporters see this as a victory for fairness and equality of opportunity. They believe affirmative action often fostered division and resentment by prioritizing identity politics over capability. By revoking this order, Trump is reaffirming the values that built this nation: freedom, merit, and individual responsibility. Now, those who oppose, of course, are already voicing concerns. But let's ask the real question. Why shouldn't every job go to the most qualified person, regardless of background? Where this person went wrong, Joe Portman, thank you so much for posting this on X. Where you went wrong, big dog, is that you said explicitly what the supporters believe, but what you didn't do is say what the opposition believe. So that's where we go wrong, gang. So anybody that's doing the content out there, I got to just say this: where we go wrong is not being fair, catering to our echo chamber. That's where we mess up. So I would like to just ask Mika, do you have any thoughts on what, and not saying that you're the opposition, because I believe that you're a supporter of this and you're a supporter of Trump, you're conservative, all these things, but how do you feel the opposition will feel about this this whole thing?
So I'm just getting, word on this. So this is what everybody's talking about Donald Trump and the federal workers.
Yes.
Sounds fine to me. Like I'm so like, how you just have that. Well, you're a man. As a woman, you have, you pick a man and you just have total faith in him. I have total faith in what Donald Trump is doing. The opposition, though, which we know, the Democrats and the liberals, they're not going to like it. They don't like anything that Donald Trump does, right? Because everything that Donald Trump does is opposition to what they actually believe. So of course they're not going to like it.
1,000%. 1,000%. Hold on one second. Let me just exit out the solo. All right, so I'm trying to get used to this right here. I got Sister Mika, Red Cup with Mika, here with me. As you can see, she's Pop Culture Mika on. Is this your ex, or is that your?
Yes, I'm Pop Culture Mika on all platforms. I try to keep it the same.
Okay, on all platforms. All right, so I'm picking up what you putting down 1,000%, and I am in full support of Trump, actually.
Yeah.
But one thing I feel is necessary for us to do, for me to do on the LFR Family Channel, is to let my supporters know who are, I don't know, y'all like 80% white folk that support my channel, and I'm very appreciative. And I have to point that out because a lot of my people don't like discussing race too much. I love discussing race. Why? Because I think if we duck and dodge it too much, it's going to end us up in another trick bag. So,
well, you know how I feel about it. Like I'm totally fine with discussing race because you know, my family is mixed race, so I have no problem with discussing it because I grew up with it.
Have you ever benefited off of affirmative action that you know of?
Yeah. Well, I guess so because my grandmother is Native American, so I have benefited from being Native American. I've gone to school for free on a Native American scholarship.
So
or
how do you
tribal
feel?
scholarship.
So how do you feel if people were to watch this who are completely for affirmative action and they say you benefited off of it and now you're against it? Now you don't want us to be
I
benefiting
mean,
from it?
I don't know if it's, but I don't know if it's, you know, I know it's a benefit, but I don't know if it actually fits like affirmative action, I guess. But anything that's I guess given can be. But the thing about it is I don't agree with just giving someone something off without merit.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So if you're unqualified, exactly. So if you're
Okay.
unqualified for something, or like if you're going to school, and your grades don't meet the standards, then I don't think you should be able to get, you know, the funding to go because you already don't meet the requirements. Now, I got funding because of being Native American, but I actually met the qualifications to go to the school.
I'm with you on that. A lot of people lose their scholarships by being able to get into the school because they meet the look. They're black. They're African Americans, so they meet that look. But then they lose their scholarship because they aren't qualified. They aren't able to keep up with they keep their grades up or anything like that. We're going to touch on all of that. See, I see y'all trying to start something in the comment section, and I'm not going to allow y'all to do it today. All right, I'm already upset. I'm already, and I'm tell you why. And it's not because of this affirmative action or DEI thing. It was because my son's response to me when he asked me about it. But just to reply to what Mika was just now saying, if you get the opportunity because you're good enough to get it and you have all the qualifications to get it, then you should get those opportunities. But now that they're being taken away, well, you're not being put to the front of the line because you meet certain, you're not a woman, and you're not, because it started with women. It didn't start with black. It didn't start with race. It actually started with women because women wanted to join the workforce, and they were starting to make noise, and other people were being involved. I know a lot of y'all got something to say. Feel free. Correct me if you want to. I'm a novice in politics. I do not proclaim to be right about anything. Y'all know me, right? I'm a student, but I put God and family before anything. But not only that, I put my record before anything. That's what I put before anything. I am not college educated. I dropped out early. Y'all already know that. And that's because I wanted to make sure my wife stayed in school while I work to take care of my daughter that I put inside of her. Regardless of where I'm from, I could not hold the hood to that. I couldn't hold my father that didn't raise me or my mother that didn't raise me to that. I couldn't do that. A lot of people like to. So they asked the federal government to lean a little bit more heavily on the whites and provide opportunities for the blacks. And I was for that 1,000% at first. But when I started pulling my weight, I'm like, man, if I can pull my weight, then these niggas need to pull their weight too. I
They
know that
definitely
makes,
can, though.
huh?
They definitely can. If you look at it, everyone, when you look at the Black community has a spending power, right, of a country, like its own country. If you just look at, what would be the how much they spend. So if you took that and actually put it into the Black community, meaning vocation schools, um, different businesses, right? Because if you look at like the Cuban community, because my dad is Cuban, they put all of their money back into their communities. If you look at the Puerto Rican community up in New York, the bodegas, things like that, like you can do that with the Black community. The Black community has more than enough money to have vocational schools, to have private schools, to have just a lot of things that they could have in the communities.
I want you
It's just not,
1000%, but
to me, it's not a priority.
it's not a priority. We much rather spend when we make our money, we go outside of our communities and we spend it elsewhere. And then
Yeah, my aunt used to say the white man's ice is colder.
I'm sorry, what? The white man's ice is cold. Oh yeah, that's another thing. So hold on. I'm glad you said that. Maybe hopefully I'm not taking this out of context. And I'm not before I even, well, I want to address that before I read this super chat. So hold on one second, Audra. The white man's ice is colder. This is how I take that. Well, before I take it how I take it, how does she mean it?
Meaning everyone in the Black community thinks that the white man has better product, even though it's the
Everything.
same.
Yes,
So
everything.
I sell ice, the white man sells ice.
I got
But,
you.
well, your ice is cold, but his is colder.
And that's
I'm
the
going
problem
there.
right there. So I had a conversation with you all a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling Black people that I know probably don't watch the channel because my Black audience is not that big. I do have some Black audience. Don't get it twisted. I got a bunch of people that be repping inside of the chats. Shout out to you all. Y'all are absolutely amazing. But certain people see you repping on a separate side, repping conservative, and they think that you can't relate. And that's far from the truth. But here's our issue. It's not that we're not making money. I know a lot of rich Black people. I know a lot of Black people who are getting to the bag, but we don't put it back in our communities. And as a matter of fact, we'll much rather spend our money, like she just now said, at on white clothing, white institutions. We want to be like the whites. We want to go to the white schools. And if we can't get in the white schools, government, y'all need to make sure that 20% of their applications are set aside for us so we can get into their schools. We want to work with them. We want to play with them. We want to eat with them. We want to party with them. We want to do everything. But we need for you all to create these rules so that we can move to the front of the line and be more like the whites. I don't want to be like the whites. I would much rather I'd much rather all of us try to be like what God created us to be. How about that? I'd much rather be every one of us were created with talents and gifts to create something to add to this world that God blessed us with, so that we can all get along, move along, love each other, and continue to create greatness. So as soon as we start to add that divide, and I know somebody said, if you don't want to talk about race, then why we always, I never said I don't see race. I never said I don't see color. I never said that. I love people for who they are, but I did hate white people at one point. I most certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's taught, but the good thing about being mixed race is I've gotten to see how people act in each group. And everybody, okay, is tribal. Everybody.
Everybody's tribal.
Whether it's white, whether it's Native American, whether it's all tribal, right? The difference is that different groups still buy and sell and support each other. Black communities have a hard time with doing that, because if it's a locally owned, I mean, DC does a good job, right? Like I lived in DC my entire
DC
life.
culture is nice.
DC does a good job at supporting, Black owned businesses,
Yeah.
all the way from what is that? Madness and
Yeah.
Sabiato,
Shooters.
all of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that is not the norm in this country.
Yeah.
That's not the norm. So, they go and buy, all these other items of clothing to be accepted. But it's
Yeah.
like accepted by who? Because every white family member that I had could care less what people had on.
That's 1000% true. Like they can be, I know some people who are getting it, white people, and I never see them in Gucci. I never see them in Louis. But the black people, those of us who just now arrived.
I used to get teased in high school. Like the girls, not by the guys, but the girls used to, tease me because I never wore like all the name brand stuff. I was, I went to rave, stuff like that.
Hold on, you
Hot
ain't have
Topic.
none of them? Like no no Dolce and Gabbana, no MCM.
No, I never wore that stuff until I became an adult.
Get out of here.
Yeah. My grandfather had 5 outfits. I lied to you not, 5.
5 outfits, and he was an engineer.
And he was rich.
And he had
Yeah.
money. Wow.
5 outfits.
So with that said, then let me ask this. With DEI and these programs being moved out the way,
Mhm.
do you think we'll bounce back? Because a lot of people are about to lose some jobs. The same thing from him Trump pulling away us working from home. A lot of people are about, because people are double dipping. They're working for one
Yeah.
job, and they clock in, and then they go and working for another joint, and probably another joint, and another joint. Not trying to snitch on
But
y'all.
that's
I'm
because
not. I'm
they
just putting
don't
that.
but they don't put if you're gonna do multiple jobs, you have to actually go ahead and make you a schedule, and that way you can get everything done. What's happening is they have these multiple jobs, that lacks, this lacks, that lacks. And then, they can see that you're not being productive. You're just skimming time. So now people feel like they have to micromanage people.
But they never fire them. And then the federal government is
Well, the
almost,
federal government, right, because you can't.
yeah. So you believe, like, look, a lot of y'all weren't doing your jobs any damn way. Arrivederci.
Yeah, and I'm fiscally conservative, so I don't like spending that much money on a lot of things, let alone government workers that don't want to do their jobs.
All right. What about the government workers that do their jobs and they got parents at home that they need to take care of? So working from home definitely benefits them, or they
Mhm.
got certain ailments, or they don't have a car, or
Well,
they
I
work too
think those
far.
federal workers will probably already, you know, um, expressed that to their bosses, right? Because my I had I think my aunt's friend, she had a husband that was, having ailments, and it was fine for her. She worked for IRS,
So
and
they'll
she
be
was
all right.
doing, that home stuff before, had the Dell set up and everything, and she was doing that before the pandemic.
Okay.
So why, I think people are willing to make allowances for people. I think what Trump is trying to get rid of is people taking advantage, people abusing the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. I agree. And there's a whole poop ton of people who are abusing the system, but it was the people at the top that was abusing it even more. Like,
Oh yeah.
even looking at, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, oh yeah.
I mean, when you look at Nancy Pelosi, this chick, and I don't know if she was covered in the preemptive pardons, but I don't think that she should receive any type of pardon. I think she should be investigated, her and Paul. And so sometimes the people at the top of the government, they take pure advantage. I mean, they're being paid already $400,000, $300,000 a month, and then when they're done working, like a few years into them working, they're worth
You
millions.
go lobby. Mhm.
So break that down to me, because I'm still understanding this whole thing about lobbying. and
I
investing.
mean, it really depends. A lot of them go and work for it. Well, depending on like your department, some go and work for these defense contracts. You have somebody like Liz Cheney who can do that. You have somebody like Dick Cheney who can go do that. Um, Nancy Pelosi for the longest has been insider trading, which will get
Oh,
anybody else locked up.
yeah.
you know. And Joe Biden actually spoke on it a little bit in his final address. He spoke on it. He said, we need to stop people in Congress from doing, insider trade. I knew immediately who he was talking about. I think him and Nancy definitely don't have a relationship anymore. And Jill has made that clear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jill don't
So
mess with at all.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of those people on Capitol Hill, they don't pay taxes. All right.
They don't?
They no.
Why
If you
not?
go look
You got
up,
to pay taxes.
well, okay. So I will say this. All right. I'm gonna make a disclaimer because I don't want anybody to say, well, she gave me advice. I am not your accountant, but I have a master's degree in accounting, and you have to take tax law. And I assure you, there is no federal law that says you have to pay taxes. The federal law is that once you sign those documents, like your W-4s and all of those things to work, you're agreeing to pay taxes. It's voluntary.
Wow. My mind is blown. And again, she's not giving you advice. We seen on Elevon Family, he had this young lady named Mika that told us, nah, got that. You heard what she
Yeah,
said.
I
She's
mean,
not going to say it
but
again.
your audience is smart. You can Google plenty of the House committee meetings, right? And there are, directors and all those types of people from the IRS. You can just pull them up. They've talked about it under oath. It's
All right.
voluntary
All right.
because it's
Salute.
not in the Constitution, which is why Donald Trump even talked about it. That's why he's like, if he can do enough tariffs to actually pay for what, is needed, he would take away the federal income tax.
Yeah. And I love what he said about the internal revenue service versus the external revenue
But
service.
that's why. That's why there is you heard what he said to Hillary Clinton when she tried to do that whole tax thing.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I'm smart.
Yeah.
I
Y'all,
know the
you and your
law,
friends do it too. I mean, you know what it is.
which
Stop
is the
trying to fake
reason
for
why
these people.
nobody on Capitol Hill pays taxes.
Okay. All right. Question from Aries. Do you think there are any bad Trump policies? Any of them? Which one don't you like? Or are you a Trump stan? Are you a Trump MAGA stan? Huh?
No, I'm not a MAGA stan. Oh, almost. I like Donald Trump a lot, but
Yeah.
no, as far as when it comes to politics, I will call anybody out, whether I like you or not.
All right.
But I don't know. As far as policies,
We'll get back to us with that.
well, I will say this. I do agree on the January 6th releases. However, I do wish that he did look at certain cases because it gives the left another talking point, right?
Okay.
And I don't know all the cases because it's like 1,600 people,
Right.
but I'm sure there were some people that went overboard, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not for people getting beat up and abused. So I that's one thing I wish he would have did, but I understand why he did what he did.
Well, he did address that. Somebody actually asked him about that. I forgot what he was on when he was asked about this. I believe it was while he was signing the executive orders. But he was asked, are you looking at any of the J6 cases that might not be pardoned? And he said it's like 16 people that were doing some bad things. And
Okay.
he's looking at them specifically. But then he also said this though. There are a lot of people out here who have committed worse crimes who did
Yes.
not get locked up for as long as these Jan 6ers have been locked up.
And
These
some
people
of
have,
them didn't even have trials or
yeah, some of them didn't
haven't
even
been in
have
court yet.
trials. They've been stringing
Mhm.
them along for years, acting
And
as
it's
if it was
crazy
going.
because DC has a lot of people that assault, the police, and they get no paper.
Yes, that was another. That's what I'm talking about. And he and what's his name? Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings was on CNN, and he was talking to Van Jones and a few other people on the panel. And he was saying in the Black Lives Matter rallies, a lot of those people who did get locked up, the ones who did get locked up for burning up a building or burning up a church or destroying some police's car or something like that, they were out the next night. They were out the next night. That's the people that actually got locked up. But for the majority of the individuals out there, they were not being arrested at
No,
all.
no, they tore DC up. They tore Baltimore up.
Yeah.
Gamla had a whole fund for a lot of people that were rioting at one point. So I mean,
Yep. What's the
it's
city that George Floyd's from?
is
They
that Minnesota?
they burned that place down. That's where
Is
Kamala's
that out
running
there, the
mate.
Twin Cities? I think it's maybe the Twin Cities. I think.
Yeah, what's Tim Walz? Tim Walz is from there. He was the
Yeah.
governor.
So yeah, the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're absolutely correct. That's what is happening. But they don't want to say anything about that because one, it's their quote unquote base, and then two, then it's like, oh, we're blaming the victim, but they don't have to destroy things. You don't have to go and loot to get your point across, right? Like there are things that are, injustices in, the United States. The United States is not without any, faults, but
At
it's
all.
it's not the worst country. All right. And I've traveled all around the world. It's not the worst country. And a lot of the things that go on in the United States, you at least have a say. You have some way to try to have discourse. In a lot of other countries, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
And so they don't realize how privileged they are, and then they go and do other things. And then on top of that, let's just say I agreed with all the rioting. Why is the rioting always in the impoverished neighborhoods? You already don't have this and that. And now you do this, and now you don't have this store is gone, like, and everything that actually helps your neighborhood.
Well, it's because it costs too much money to get to the neighborhoods that got the stuff. You know how difficult can you just get on a bus and go to Tyson's Corner? I mean, you can get on a train, but it's going to take you a minute, and it's going to be expensive to go there. So, I mean, I'd rather just go to Iverson Mall where everybody already is. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, go to Iverson Mall where everybody in Suitland is. You know what I mean? Go to another. You go down Eastover and run up in their stores and grab some jerseys or something. Forestville Mall.
I never understood that. That's just like going to somebody's allowing somebody to come to your house. You get mad and you break up your dishes.
Yeah. And then hold on. And then the other side of this is the business owners who you looted from and stole from for years. They get wise and say, wait a minute, I opened this business to make money, not to lose money. And then they leave, and now they're writing letters and to the federal government saying that we in a food desert. We don't have any grocery stores now. We don't have any food supply. We don't have any CVS stores anymore where we're going to get our medicine. Well, why y'all keep on running up in these joints and stealing from them? If you continue to do that, they're going to move. And the government cannot mandate that a company stay there for your benefit. They can't. At some point, Safeway and Giant are going to leave.
The Democrats are nefarious. I believe they allow all that to happen.
Yeah.
Because they want to restructure these cities. A lot of people don't want to read like Agenda 2030, right? The newest one is, of course, LA. But if you look at Baltimore, all of those people destroyed all of that stuff, abandoned homes, only to turn around and Baltimore was giving homes away for $1.
Yep. Yeah.
All you had
Yeah.
to do is rehab them.
Yeah. But did we have that information? Was that information is public?
The information is public.
Oh my gracious.
As they say, ignorance is no excuse for the law. Somebody got to know, right? So who in the community is the leader? Who in the community is looking out for the rest of the community that is ignorant towards real estate law, is ignorant towards property laws and politics? That's why when all these people, all these so-called Crumps, I think his name is Benjamin Crump, and all these people, like, you're not educating the people.
He's not. He's giving people a crutch every single time something happens. He's popping up. I am the lawyer for you. Who he can't wait. This dude got
Meanwhile,
people
his house
watching
is
and
huge.
waiting. Yeah. He's not. It's like it's nuts. I have a question for you, and it's coming from one of my supporters. All right. So she says she feel bad for anyone losing their jobs and careers by circumstances beyond their control. But where was the outrage when the Keystone Pipeline was shut down and thousands were left jobless?
Oh, that's because they're white.
Yep. There's your answer, Audra. It's that simple. It's that simple.
They feel like if you're white, you'll get another job because you're white.
Yeah, because it's jobs anyway. So if it's anybody, and that's crazy, and that's how Trump was able to get so much support, because it's like the Democrats was just completely ignoring the fact that, wait a minute, there's a bunch of white people that don't have jobs. There's a bunch of white
Those were the people that were Democrats. Those whites. Those were the people that used to be Democrats. All those factory workers, all those union guys, those were your Democrats. But the Democrats don't speak to them. I don't know why, they alienate those people. I really don't. Because when you look at the numbers, I don't know why. I can't even imagine why, but they do. But that's how he won it. That's exactly how he won it.
Matthew says, I hate that there will be families hurt with these job losses, but this would have never happened if the government hadn't set them up for failure.
Yes. I mean, honestly and truly, the government can't be the biggest employer.
It can't be the biggest employer, but you're saying if there's 100,000 people who lose their jobs today, would you feel anything?
Yeah. Anybody that loses a job, because it's hard to, make it in this type of economy. So I definitely understand. The problem is the government is being allowed to just expand and expand and expand. Well, who's paying for it? It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Facts. Who's paying for
So it's like, yeah, they're going to keep raising their taxes. They're going to have to. How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay to keep all these people employed? Where's the money coming from? It's not coming from thin air. And so it's like, you have to cut, unfortunately, you have to cut your losses. Like sometimes when companies have to, lay people off in order to stay out of the red.
Facts.
And right now, America is in the red. We spent all that money going to Ukraine. We spent all that money on the illegal immigrants. Like, we've just spent all this money on nonsense. And so I keep telling people it's going to get worse before it gets better, because you're going to have to do stuff like this in order to make it right. But I did hear Elon Musk, when he was on the campaign trail, say something about, that people that do end up getting laid off, they were going to, give them some type of severance for like a year or two or something like that.
Well, something did come across my timeline a little earlier today where people who was hired as DEI hires or work on DEI programs, they're going to be on paid leave for like I believe 6 months,
Okay.
and then they will be losing their jobs.
I
I
mean,
believe it's 6
that's
months.
still very good. I mean, to a lot of people lose their jobs, they don't get anything.
Nothing. They just get the hell out, move. And the federal government is actually paying them with borrowed money that we don't actually have. So you're getting no productivity out of them because they're leaving, and you're still paying them just to soften the blow, soften the fall, and then you're not hiring anybody else because if you're getting rid of them and you're trying to tighten your belt, you're not going to be hiring
Yeah.
anybody else. You're going to just trying to make do. I will say
Yeah.
this though, I worked for the federal government, and when somebody leaves, whoever's left behind still have to man that work. I was an environmental protection specialist at DOD, and when an engineer left, I got handed half of his work. I never went to school for engineering.
Mm,
That was a huge
yeah.
learning curve. Like I had to talk to the companies that he was dealing with. John Fustel, I had to talk to the companies that he was dealing with. I had to do all of the checks and everything that he was working with. I had to take extra little classes here and there, training classes that didn't come with a degree, came with a certificate that I could only use there. Couldn't go anywhere else with it. But at least I got smarter from it. But when the government gets rid of personnel, those who are left behind still have to do those jobs. Now, with that said, the quality of the work diminishes.
Yeah.
The
Well,
quality of the
you know what
work.
I think they're gonna do? And this is a perfect opportunity for a lot of small businesses. I think a lot of it's going to be contracted because
Yes.
also a lot of people are going to retire because a lot of people can retire.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of people don't want to come back to work
You're
or
right.
come back in the office. So you're going to have a lot of small business companies that deal with, like staffing with federal contracts. They're going to do that. So
Okay.
you're gonna have business outside of the government.
I believe so too, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's probably the best thing that's going to come from this. Only difference
Yeah.
is the minority businesses won't be in the front of the line for those contracts. It will be
Well,
the
I do know too, right? And
yeah.
they're woman owned,
Mhm.
and they're also, I guess, double minority is what you call it,
Yes.
women of color,
Yes.
something like that.
Are they white?
So yeah, no,
They
they're of
black?
color. So
Then that's a triple. Well, double. Yeah, that is a double minority.
yeah, double, triple. Yeah. I don't know all the woke terminology. I'm
Ah!
sorry. But yeah, I do know a couple that, are going to benefit. So where there's always, where there's a negative, there's always a benefit,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And I I think it's better to have it contracted than to have people who you can't fire if they don't do a good job. Because I can tell you right now,
Yeah.
you can call some of these federal agencies, the people don't answer the phone, the people don't never send you any emails back. They
Yeah.
do what they want, they talk to you any kind of way because they know they're not getting fired. Versus if you're contract to hire, you don't do your job.
Yeah. You get kicked up out of here. But they have to also change how they write these contracts, how they
Yes.
accept these contracts, because sometimes they will pay the contractor before the job is even done, and the contractor will even be as lazy as an employee of the federal government. So it's like sometimes our policies trickle down to even privately owned contracts, which is crazy. But you're absolutely right. I think the work will get done, and you can actually hold your foot to somebody's neck to get the work
Yep.
done if
Because
they are not a
let
federal
that
employee.
employee not work, that owner is get that person off because they're making money off this contract.
Yeah.
They're not trying to go back out for bid, and it also pushes up competition because you have to go to bid for these contracts.
You do. You do. You have to
So the
bid for these
best
contracts.
company, the company that really wants it, the company that's actually going to have the most productivity, will get it.
You're absolutely right. I agree with you 1000%. Gang, let me see. Hold on one second. I gotta ask them this to see what they're saying. Because I was not paying attention. My bad, guys. I was not paying attention to the chat at all. I'm horrible with that. I'm trying to do better. All right. So let me see here. The laziest worst employee was named manager of DEI department at work a couple of years ago. She just posted a Facebook messages complaining about white women privileges. What a lunatic. Well, you're going to hear a lot of that. Unfortunately, that's not going to slow down. It
What
really
is
isn't.
the DEI department? Like
The DEI department, okay. I'm not going to poop on it. I got a real good friend who makes a
Mhm.
poop ton of money, focusing only on DEI appointments and programs and those things because it's actually a thing. My job is to focus on, well, are they black? Are they being taken care of? Are they white? Are they receiving the same benefits as everybody else? Did you make sure that you at least considered that black application before all of these other white applications? I mean, because look around, we got way too many whites. We need more blacks. I thought you said you was going to hire another black. Well, we need more blacks. So it's somebody that's dedicated to that all day, every day. And apparently for this last administration, it meant a lot. It just don't mean a
So
lot
it's
to me.
either overly done or underdone.
Yes. That part. Yes. Overly done or underdone. Yes. So they have to make sure they checks and balances because the white man has been winning for far too long. And we are tired. You hear that? Me and Mika are tired of the white man winning, and we are for DEI. Ain't that right?
Oh, my
She like,
parents.
hell no. Holly Witt has a question for you. I personally think that DEI creates inequality. Do you agree? Now, before you answer, equality never comes easy, but it makes it an equal playing field for everyone. Let me, before you answer that, equality never comes easy, but it makes it an equal playing field for everyone. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are still stuck in the same mindset as old slavery days, or I'm just going to hire people that look like me. I only feel comfortable with people that look like me. We have a certain community and a certain feel about our office that we believe only certain people will blend in and not cause any issues. There are still some people like that. So for those situations, nah, equality is not always the best thing. But I think that the mixing of cultures should be organic. I don't think it should be a mandate ever. But because it was always a mandate that it went the opposite way, that black people was not considered for certain jobs, it became a mandate. And because it's been a mandate for so long, people have been depending on it. Now, those people who have been dependent on it for so long are now entitled to it. So if there's not any extra spaces set aside for people that look like me, then I got a problem. I have a case that I can file. I can actually file a court case against a company for not bringing on more minorities because I'm used to this and this is the lay of the land.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Mandating inequality does create division, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also I think equality should be an opportunity, not the outcome. Meaning not trying to force a certain outcome, right? So as a person of color, I want the opportunity to be able to go and apply for this job. The opportunity to show you that I'm the best person for this job, regardless of what I look like. But what they've been doing is trying to create an outcome.
Yes.
And when you do that, you do exactly what you're trying to combat, right? Because when you look at my family is Polish. I don't know any
I'm
Polish
sorry, you
people
say
with,
Polish.
yeah. I so my mother's father is Polish. My mother's mother is Native American. So if you look at Polish people, they don't have anything to do with American slavery, right? But you're gonna punish somebody specifically because they're white.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Right. And so now this person doesn't get the job because of something that happened with other groups of white people. And now they have to deal with that. That would be the same as other black people coming over here and experiencing the same things that foundational black Americans experience, when actually, if you look at it, other groups of black people actually are succeeding and far even beyond white people. Nigerians, like, they're doing phenomenally well.
That's because they don't consider themselves black. They consider themselves, and you said earlier in this talk, we
Tribal.
all join our tribes. They're doing their thing. They're focusing. They're trying to chase their dreams and their goals. They know what they have to do.
Mhm.
Simple and
Now, I'm
plain.
not
And if
saying that there hasn't been anything that has stopped a lot of progress with foundational black people in this country, but there's also so many politics in keeping that victimhood.
yes, it's beneficial to keep the victimhood. Like,
It's definitely beneficial, especially for the
uh,
Democrats. It's definitely beneficial.
well, it's beneficial. It's honestly, it's, and I blame some of this on capitalism. It's beneficial for people to say that they're depressed, because then that benefits people who can sell you some depression pills, and therapists and psychologists and everything else that lends itself to depression. Same for anxiety. Same for anything else that, if we can make you feel like you are dependent on us and this pill that we are selling, or this session sitting in front of me, across from me on the couch, then and the government will pay for it. If you have insurance, if your insurance will pay for it. So if we can teach you to be a victim, then we benefit off of it, period. And if there's nothing going on, the government will create a problem to solve, something like the pandemic. I'm not going to talk about that ad nauseum.
So how many African Americans, or whatever you want to call it, Black Americans, how many of them were screaming and hollering if you didn't get the jab?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of that going on. A lot of
Like,
that. A lot of that.
do you hate the government or do
Yeah.
you love the government?
Yeah, they love the government. They love the government. And honestly, and I say I remove myself from that, because I am not those that love the government. I don't. Sorry.
But that's what I mean. So it's like a lot of them don't like RFK. They're like, oh, he's doing pseudoscience. I'm like, but then you want to talk to me about the Tuskegee experiment. Do you love the government or do you hate the government? Do you actually know what's going on or not?
They so
So
smart, they
it's a
dumb.
lot of back and forth talk. Like,
Do you ever watch Roland Martin?
unfortunately.
I watch Roland Martin too, and I watch it hoping to learn something. And we got people that look like us who are so smart that they are on the
Dumb.
opposite side of smart. And it's unfortunate. But they will look at us and say the exact same thing. So it is what it is. I mean, they do look at us and say the exact same thing. Too many people are looking for jobs and should be creating jobs and selling their skills. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier this live stream. We were all blessed with skills, abilities, gifts, talents, and we should be considering, what can we add to this country? What can we add to this world that God created? God is the only creator from nothing, but we need his creations to create, but we are creatives too. We were shaped in his image, so we can do those things as long as we use his resources and give him thanks for the resources.
I mean, a lot of people aren't taught that, right? And then also too, John F. Kennedy said that famous, statement, what, ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? And that's you adding to, the productivity, the, investment in your country. So, but that starts in homes, that starts, depending on what schools you go to, like all of that matters in the community. It starts there. And if the community isn't right, then
And the community is not right, but
no.
we blame it on other people that our community is not right. So it is what it is.
Facts.
And that sucks. Do any of you blame your next door neighbor for what's going on in your house? Ever? And just let me know in the comments. If any of you're going through an argument or a spat with your husband or wife, your children are fussing at you, not listening to you, and instead of fussing at them or correcting things in your house, you knock on your neighbor's door and you fuss at them for their part in your family's downfall or whatever. I've never done that, ever. As a matter of fact, we keep as many people out of our business as possible, because the only people that will lend themselves to our success is us, or our failures is us. So y'all need to cut that mess out. I don't know a whole lot about 1965 EO addressing the workplace discrimination. Do you?
So he's saying that Trump, how do you feel about Trump rolling back the 1965? I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
But workplace discrimination, meaning that's a large umbrella.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And you can discriminate off a lot.
Yeah.
Disabilities, and I think that was in maybe, one of them that was wrapped up with civil rights.
Yeah.
Right. And that's another big thing. Everything that, ends up being for everybody else, LGBT and anything, always comes from the minority community. Right? Women's rights got wrapped up in that. Honestly, civil rights was supposed to create the rights that Blacks didn't have during Jim Crow.
Okay. Right.
That's really what it was.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And it was
Right.
Republican led. Democrats took it and added everybody to it, which is the reason why till this day, you still hear Democrats adding to it. When you ask Kamala, what does she say? Well, I'm not doing something specifically for Black people. If it's for Black
Yep.
people, it benefits everybody. Of course.
Right. It's always going to
So,
benefit someone else.
yeah. So, I mean, I wish the community just wouldn't rely too much on the government.
And I also want to add this. If it's for Black people, keep it as that. Don't let anything expand it at all. Like what Mika was just now talking about. Because she said she's not going to do anything for Blacks, but she damn sure made sure the Asian Pacific coast people got their money. They got like I forgot how much it was, but I think it was more than 25 billion.
Billions. I did a whole video on that, just showing that, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, she lobbied for certain
Yeah.
things. I
The
was just
Native
like,
Americans, yes,
yeah,
they gonna get
yes,
their money.
I'm very aware of it, and she doesn't even, and this is the big thing. I know a lot of Black people supported her, but the big thing about it all is they don't know that a lot of Asians, specifically, Indians, right? They come over here. A lot of them benefit also off of Black affirmative action. Some of them even go to school as African Americans
Facts.
because they're brown. I
Yep.
did a whole video on that, and people were like, oh, maybe this is just the one person. No, the guy, he ends up later being a person that actually wanted to, fight against it, and he benefited from it. So he told his story, he wrote a book about it, and now, he he advocates against it because a lot of Asians come over here and do that. And so you got everybody calling, Kamala black when she's not black.
Kamala's not black. Kamala's not black.
But she gets the
She's
grift.
running for dollars. Huh?
She gets the grift. She gets the grift.
Oh yeah,
Like she
absolutely. She's
grifts
really good
all
at
over
it.
black.
She's a damn good actress. She fooled a lot of people, including my wife.
I knew when she said she put greens in the bathtub. I said,
Yeah, yeah,
I ain't never
yeah.
heard. I've never heard.
Yeah, she's just doing her thing. Change the education system so every child gets the same education. One teacher for every 10 students, so that we get away from being a slave to the dollar. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but everybody got to work together. Adam and Eve equal all of humanity. Why is this so hard? It's so hard because everybody don't believe in Adam and Eve. Some people are taught that Christian values are white people values, that it was slave masters that created the Bible, and
But
nobody's
even if
going
you
to.
don't believe in Christianity, right? Let's just say, even if you don't believe in Christianity, the natural order of the universe tells you need a yin and a yang. You need a negative and a positive in a battery. You need this and that. Like the natural order will just common sense will tell you this. So when people are like, well, I'm not religious, I don't care. You're just ignoring the fact that the natural order of things needs an opposite.
I agree 1000%, and that's why we are right now. Biden and sometimes the party is over, and it's time to get back to work. With all this DEI stuff being rolled back, affirmative
Yeah.
action stuff being rolled back, Trump is simply saying the party is over. It's time to clean back up the country. It's time to put our country first. It's time to do those things. I will say this though, and this is for all my white people that follow me. I need you to hear me on this, all right? And don't get all upset that I'm talking about race again. I have to address my white people. It's important. It really is important. I gotta make sure I take time out to do this because I'm still locked into to the black community, and a lot of you, because of your algorithm, are not, because you weren't raised in certain places. You're just not. To people who look like me, it do sometimes seem like conservatives make laws and rules that benefit what America is represented as to them, meaning white people. So it seems like he's rolling back everything that benefits black people.
But does
But,
it really?
huh?
But does it really?
No,
I
it
get what
doesn't.
you're saying, but
It
does
it
it
doesn't.
really?
It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. But that's what it seems like. But it doesn't. So
Right.
this is where we are, where I started out by saying that the party is over. It's time for us to clean up our sugar honey iced tea. Y'all know that we were in tough times. Tough times is what we're about to go through. All right.
Mhm.
But how it goes is tough times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Good times create weak people. Weak people, and we just now come from a weak people administration, a whole bunch of weak individuals. Oh no, I'm not a he, I'm not a him, I'm a they, I'm a z, I'm a zer, all that bullshit. So we was at a weak people thing. So the weak people create tough times again, and then the tough times people got to clean that up again. So the tough times, strong people, good times, weak people, we're back in tough times. The good times was when Trump was in office in 2016 to 2020. Those good times created those weak people. So we're back.
I
So
agree.
it's time for us to do our thing and focus, gang. You
I
got any
agree.
last words for my people, Mika?
I would say for the next, this is just my opinion, for the next 18 months, don't overspend. Don't, go out and buy stuff. If you buy anything, make sure it can, it can appreciate. And after about a good 18 to 24 months, I think it's going to get so much better. And I think there are going to be a lot more opportunities than it ever has been. But it's going to get bad before it gets good. And this is just the start of it.
I agree 1000%. Everybody that helped us out today, all of my blues, y'all are absolutely loved, man. Thank you so much. I also want to say, I want to give a special shout out to all of the people who are in my coaching class. What they did was they bought me and created me a gold YouTube button. It's upstairs in my room. I'm not going to tell you why it's in my room. Okay. That's not your business. Okay. But I was meaning to bring it down here before I start this live stream so I can show it to you all. But they created a LFR family 1 million subscriber plaque because we've gotten in so much trouble over here with community guidelines, copyright claims, and all that other stuff that YouTube simply said that I cannot get my button. They said that I cannot get my plaque. I reached out to them. I talked to some people that I don't even know were real people via email, and they said I can't get it because I'm a troublemaker, essentially. So shout out to all of my people. I'm talking about Jeff, Deshaun, Linda B, Lee J, River, Wally. If I'm leaving your name out, guys, I apologize. But these are all the people that I am currently or was coaching before they became good enough to do their own content creation. But these guys just show me love, and I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do it, but the fact that you did just shows that, man, maybe we connected on a higher plane, and that means a lot to me. So thank you so much. All of my blues, thank y'all guys. Y'all are absolutely amazing. Everybody that participated inside of the chat respectfully with one another. Thank you so much. I see somebody yelling out that's some BS. Maybe it's something that I said, but we'll deal with that on the next live stream because I ain't got time with this. Usually I have time. But I don't right now. But we about to get on up out of here. Love this show, but serious question. If MLK wanted everyone based on character and not color, why would they want DEI, especially since MLK was their best leader? MLK wanted DEI. Sorry, MLK wanted to go to these white restaurants, and he would sit there and feel like he didn't have any dignity until they fed him. He would go to hotels and say that they treat me like I don't have any dignity. So y'all need to. He was doing all that. I'm sorry, am I wrong?
No, but the problem is again, he wanted the opportunity. That is DEI.
He wanted the opportunity to prove himself. He didn't want the opportunity to just get anything but he wanted to prove himself, like you said.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So but everything goes through phases.
Everything goes through phases.
You have the feminist, move to I just want rights to now nuts.
That Me Too movement was some BS. I'm sorry.
Yes. It has nothing to do with women's rights. No.
Yeah. Me Too, believe all women, never.
No, I don't believe all of people. I don't believe all of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I want to say everybody that submitted a super chat this morning, this afternoon, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you guys are absolutely phenomenal as well. And for anybody that want to learn how to do this YouTube thing, check out my course that I created that I'm very proud of. It's not that great of a course. I'm gonna let you know that right now. It really isn't. It's not like a Sean Canal Think Media or Nick Nimmons or Roberto Blake type of course or Alex Hormozy course, but it is an awesome course where I teach you what I've learned in order to help not only myself, my son, and many other people excel through social media. But check it out. You let me know what you want me to know, and I'll see you guys on the next live stream. Love y'all, and continue to be less racist.